The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
If it hadn't been for you, I would be now in someone else's digestion.
You know there's something you should know, so I'm gonna tell you so.
It's Bad Movie Month on the Cellcast.
Don't sweat it, forget it, enjoy the show.
Working all day, now it's time to unwind. Kick back, relax, take a load off your mind.
I mean, it is Friday.
True. I'll be busting the moves and I'll be busting the rhymes. We'll be busting up laughing cause it's party time.
Or podcast time, anyway.
Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time.
That's what I'm thinking. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he just can't. I don't remember. Hang on, back up. I was about to go somewhere, change my mind how I was going to word it.
Wow. I think this is a first, but it's more like most of the time I'm the one who screws up the intro. or flubs it.
Yeah. Joining me today is a man who, well, he's just so inflated with himself every time he laughs. Welcome, Jacob.
Well, sometimes I do feel a little puffy. Why, thank you. I'm Peter Sarkos, a man who is just determined he is not going to be a girl's toy. Welcome, Drew. You're welcome.
Well, it depends on the girl, if we're being honest.
Oh my gosh, Slay! Oh my gosh, dude, that was awesome.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean, if she's cute enough, if I can carry on a conversation with her, you know.
Right.
And cute is a relative thing. What might be cute to me might not be cute to somebody else.
Agreed.
So, either way.
Oh my gosh. This
Tonight,
is an interesting episode.
We are still in Bad Movie Month.
Ay, ay, ay.
And we are reviewing a film called Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure, or A Musical Adventure, Raggedy Ann and Andy. I'm not 100% certain what the actual title of this thing is.
Because it's titled two different things throughout the
Officially, anytime where you see it written down somewhere, it's Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure, which makes sense. But on the title screen in the actual movie, it is A Musical Adventure, Raggedy Ann and Andy. I suspect the film was actually just called Raggedy Ann and Andy, and people have put A Musical Adventure as a subtitle after the fact.
Possibly.
Because the way it's worded in that intro, it's like all these people are bringing you a musical adventure.
Yes.
Raggedy Ann and Andy. But either way, we are reviewing it because about halfway through the film, this thing turns into a psychedelic mind scrape, for lack of a better term. Or mind trip.
Or a artistic expression.
It's like the last 45 minutes are Pink Elephants on Parade on repeat. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that here in just a minute. Why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free thoughts?
Yes.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
I put this on the list, so yes, this is my fault.
Yes. He's torturing us with the film.
I learned of this film from watching a very, very, very old Nostalgia Critic video that I cannot fully repeat the name on the stream because this is a family-friendly podcast.
Yes.
So I'm going to edit myself, and you'll just have to guess which word is being edited. The top 11 mind trips in television, or in movies. In film, that's what it was.
Gotcha.
And this was like number 5 or something.
Wow.
And I remember, and this was the only thing I knew about it was this one thing, was this one clip, these clips I'd seen from this. No idea what the actual movie was about. And put on there, because like, well, I bet that's crazy enough. It ought to be fun to review during Bad Movie Month.
Yes.
So yeah, this is my first viewing of the entire film. Wow. I didn't lose brain cells like I did with In Search of Titanic. But it's a thing.
Yes.
I will say, animation-wise, it is spectacular.
Agreed.
I would suggest at least looking up the clips for just to see some amazing animation for it. But if you are looking for a movie for enjoyment purposes,
not this one.
I don't suggest this one.
No.
If we're being honest, it's not that it's bad. Like some of the other ones we've done. It's just more of a. Well, it's just a little below.
He ain't half bad.
Ain't half good either.
Like I say, it's just below that level.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts on this film. Yours?
So, like Drew, this was my first viewing of this film. I'd grown up like hearing about Raggedy Ann.
I knew about the dolls.
Yeah, I knew about the dolls. I'd heard there was a TV series.
There's actually been a lot of these specials.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, like, if you're a Raggedy Ann fan, be like either
you already know about this.
You know about this. So, again, I heard about it from him, and I was like, what in the world? I was like, oh, okay, Raggedy Ann, I remember that. Because I think at one point or another, for some reason, a Raggedy Ann doll got stuck in our toy bin. Mind you, it's a house full of boys.
I'm sure it was somebody well-meaning.
Yes, agreed. I don't remember what happened to that doll, but it probably got destroyed because it's a house full of boys. That happens. So I watched this, and so here's an interesting little side note to me watching this. So I'm sitting there watching the movie, reviewing it, and I'm getting bored.
It happens.
So as you get bored, you get on your phone, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there scrolling through reels on Instagram or what have you. And I like this one video where it's like a music video. And for context, be like, I have Tourette's disorder. And so I would traditionally bark like a dog and I twitch. So with my Tourette's disorder, I can have epileptic seizures. With the kind of epileptic seizure that you have full memory of. Where something like grandma seizures, you don't have memory. I have full memory of it. So I'm scrolling through these music videos, and for some reason, it's this one dude. He's playing this music, and to this day, I don't remember what the song was. All I remember is the flashing yellow light and black. And all I do be like, I literally just do this number, and my eyes roll the back of my head. I'm just that number. I'm shaking. It's all like great. It only lasts like it lasts like less than a minute, but it's like, oh, okay. I'm like halfway. I'm almost halfway through. I'm about 3/4 away through this film, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. Like, there's no way to finish this tonight. Yeah. I was like, oh,
especially since I had already sent you a warning about
yes, you did.
The very end of the film, because there was something I thought this might affect Jacob.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play it safe by letting him know.
Yes, which I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful. So be like, I go to bed, I go to, get up the next morning, I'm feeling like crap, because if you've ever had a seizure, like a full-on blown seizure, you know exactly how you feel. Your body is completely, utterly wrecked. So, yeah, I wound up watching it yesterday, finishing the movie yesterday, after my wife got back from the emergency ER with her little issue. Thankfully, we've got everything solved. We think we've got everything solved, or
time will tell.
Time will tell. But so I finally watched this thing. The scene where he mentions, okay, that's not too terrible. But I was grateful for him to bring that up. And I was like, oh, okay, I need a palate cleanser. Oh, Spy Family, that'll work.
Well, you got to watch it for tonight anyway.
Exactly. And thankfully it was one episode. So, and look for that in our TAS
at the end
segment,
of the episode.
The end of this episode. So, it's artistically interesting. It has a very wandering, weird, and way too much music. Like, I don't mind music, but these kind of musicals, it's annoying as all out.
There are 16 songs.
16.
In an hour and a half. I think it's an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half.
In an hour and a half movie. That's too much songs for density. To give you a put that in context, one of the other musical movies I know that had 16 songs in it was The Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2.5 hours long.
And they spaced them out good.
It has enough room for that many songs. This movie did not. Now, granted, these songs are short, mostly.
Mostly.
There's one or two that are full-blown songs. The rest are just kind of a minute. But, and I'll give it this. The songs are memorable. I've had some of these songs stuck in my head all week.
Oh, really?
Some of them. Not all of them. Yeah, you know how when something will just start playing in your head and you have no idea where it came from? Or why it would go. It's just that it's one of those that would start every once in a while. Just something like well, we'll get to it, but the Camels song kept hitting my head all week for some reason.
Gotcha.
I can't remember the name of the song, but it was one of the better ones. But yeah, that's sorry. That was your spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah. But would I recommend this? Be like, yeah, if you're probably a Raggedy Ann fan, you've probably seen this. If you're wanting to see something that's artistically trippy, I'd probably recommend it. But the movie is... I'll get into my dislikes in a minute, but ooh, yeah, there's some things about this film I just do not like.
Understandable.
So, yeah. Why don't we get into our dislikes?
Yes, why don't we go ahead and get into our full review of Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. Listener discretion is advised. Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. How many times can I say that in 2 minutes?
Not like how many songs can you stuff into 2 minutes?
That's a good question. Was directed by Richard Williams, who we know from directing his magnum opus, The Thief and the Cobbler. That was also finished without him there. And he was the animation director on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But he was actually the second director of this thing.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
the original director, who unfortunately passed away before production really started, was Abe Levitow, who directed The Phantom Toll Booth. Which I know I've read that book. I have no idea how the movie is. But from what I understand from another Nostalgia Critic review, because Nostalgia Critic did go and review this movie, a full review of Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Yes.
I did not know about that before I watched the film. So I've since gone back and watched that. And he mentioned this Abe Levitow, he's another one of those animation directors who a lot of his work is like what's going on. He has that tendency.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It was written by Patricia Thackeray and Max Wilk, and based on the stories and characters created by Johnny Gruelle, the creator of Raggedy Ann and Andy. Getting into the cast, we've got Claire Williams playing, and for some reason I did not write down her name, but it's the little girl in the live action segments. Marcella, yeah. That is actually Richard Williams' daughter.
Really?
But she has since gone on to have a career in animation herself, and she was on color design in Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Ooh, which is a series we've reviewed, so go find that because it's really good.
Indeed. Dee Dee Khan played Raggedy Ann, and in the movie Grease, she was Frenchie.
Growing up, I loved Grease. Loved it. As an adult, I still love it. So
it's a good musical.
It's a good musical. Be like it's a little bit out of date, but
it's the 70s. It's a 70s movie about the 50s. So yeah, it's going to be a little off.
It's a little bit off, but I still enjoy it.
It's going to be a little dated.
Little dated. It's not politically correct anymore, but
what is?
Yeah, what is anymore? Be like,
we're not going to get political. We're going to move on.
No, we're not.
Mark Baker was the voice of Raggedy Andy. And in something called Swashbuckler, he played a lute player. Fred Stuffman played the camel with the wrinkled knees. That is the character's full name. And in Jeepers Creepers Theater, he played Jeepers Keeper.
Jeepers Keeper.
Not Jeepers Creeper, Jeepers Keeper.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing, not knowing anything about Jeepers Creepers Theater, that there's a character named Jeepers Creepers, and this guy was Jeepers Keeper.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know.
It's a horror franchise.
With a
apparently
name
is
like
really
Jeepers
bad.
Creepers, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But I think this is a different thing than the horror movies. But I could be wrong.
I have no idea.
Nikki Flax was the voice of Babette, and she was Melissa Anderson in the soap opera Dallas.
Oh.
Her primetime soap opera.
Gotcha.
Dallas. George S. Irving played the captain, and in The Year Without a Santa Claus, he played Heat Miser.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the opposite of
Yes.
Ice
Yes, I remember.
Mister, that a certain Arnold Schwarzenegger danced to in Batman and Robin.
Oh, bum, bum. Yeah, I know.
That one.
Yes.
Arnold Stang was the voice of Queasy. That was the parrot. I had to look that one up.
Yeah, Queasy.
And in the television series Top Cat, he was Top Cat.
Oh, that makes sense.
Joe Silver was the voice of the Greedy,
Yes.
and he was the Creep in Creep Show 2. Alan Seuss played Louis the Loony Knight, and he played a character named Scratcher in... Sorry, he played Scratcher the Jealous Reindeer in Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. A Rankin Bass special.
Oh, that makes sense.
Apparently.
Wow.
Marty Brill played King Cuckoo. And in the movie Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, he was Buddy.
Oh, okay.
And Paul Dooley was the voice of Gadzooks. And he was Wimpy in Popeye.
Really?
Yes. He'll gladly pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today.
So, question, is that the live action film or the animated series?
I am going to make the guess that it's... I'm going to say I don't know because I did not write it down.
Ah, okay.
I think it was the cartoon, not the movie.
Okay.
I think.
He thinks.
Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do we have?
Oh. Ever since this was the 1970s?
You know as well as I do that that Kingdom Hearts is pulled from actors from the 30s and 40s.
That is true. That is true.
No,
Roy.
Roy, it's not 42.
Yeah, sorry. Nope. Too sad, Roy.
So how many? And I will say I may... Oh. There may have been an additional 2, but I decided not to include the music people this time.
Oh, okay. Let's go 3.
Lower.
1.
Lower.
None. Oh.
Absolutely none. I could have...
okay.
I could have pulled, like, the musical composer... Not the composer, but, like, the sound people.
Yeah.
That happens, like... a lot of times because Kingdom Hearts 3 does have a separate composer for the music than our orchestrator. And that's usually where I get a bunch of them, but I decided not to do that this time. What do we have in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. IMDb has a 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has a 57%. There's no critic reviews of this film. There's only 2 of them, and they're not good. So it has a audience score of 57%. Production was the Boyd Miller. Am I saying that right? Boyd Miller Company.
I believe so.
Now, Lester Osman Productions. Again, if I'm butchering these, I apologize. Richard Williams Productions, distributed by 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios. And ITT...
which I looked that up. That is actually connected to the ITT Technical Institute we saw the commercials for when we were kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I looked at it, but that's the exact same logo. And surely they didn't pay for this.
I hope not.
The parent company did.
Yeah, apparently. All right. So its release date was April 1st, 1977. When, again, neither one of us were born yet.
No.
Runtime was 84 minutes. So
only 84 minutes?
Only 84 minutes. This
Felt
felt
longer.
like it was 3 hours.
Yeah. We'll get to why here in a minute.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh. Sinuses, you gotta love them, right? All right, so the film was originally planned to be released on March 1st, 1975. It was later rescheduled for December of 1976. But in April of that same year, the film was moved to a early 1977 for an extra 3 months of work. The film premiered at the Radio City Musical Hall on March 23rd, 1977, which was followed by a general admission on April 1st of the same year by 20th Century Fox here in the United States. It was released in Germany on April 26, 1977, as well on September 9th in Switzerland, on September 30th in Japan, and October 7th in Australia. Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure, was recorded in 1976 and was released and blah, 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 get back on track. According to a 2-page advert in Variety on December 8th, 1976, it was established that over 70 million viewers watched the Dewey Kahn and Mark Baker as Raggedy Ann and Andy dance to Ragdoll to a 2 minutes at the Macy's Day Parade. The promotional campaign for the film reportedly cost $2 million, with 100 of manufacturer license that to make more than 500 products. The film premiered on March 20th, 1977 in 9 major cities. It was later released on April 1st, 1977 into 400 theaters in the United States. It approximately hit 40 theaters, the opening in New York. The film was a box office failure. Box office, it had a budget of $4 million. Apparently didn't even make it that much back, because there is no information to how much it actually made in box office. Let's see. Home release. The film was released on RCA, again, 1977. Just keep that in mind. Let's see. The correction, this was 1982 when it was released. RCA CED video disc.
Capacitance disc.
Capacitance disc. Capacitance
It's basically
VHS.
It's basically a video on record.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
It's a little more complicated than that.
Gotcha. All right. Beta disc by MGM CBS Home Video in 1982. It was followed by a VHS release in 1985 by Playhouse Video in associates with CBS Fox Video. In 1992 by Fox Video. It has never been released on DVD. However, there is a 35 millimeter scan of the full film in widescreen on YouTube, where we watched it.
Yes.
So that is all I have for info and stuff, unless Drew has other stuff that I've missed.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Alrighty then.
That's coming to mind anyway. Let's go ahead and get into the summary. Marcella returns home from school and rushes upstairs to her nursery playroom to put away her her favorite doll, Raggedy Ann. When Marcella leaves, the toys in the playroom come to life, and Ann tells them of the wonders of the outside world. She then shares to them that it is Marcella's 7th birthday, and the toys notice a large package in the corner. Raggedy Andy gets trapped underneath the package, and once freed, he complains about the feminine activities within the nursery. Marcella opens the present to reveal a beautiful Biscay doll from Paris, France, named Babette. Anne and the other toys welcome Babette to the nursery, but she is too homesick for Paris to accept their greeting. Meanwhile, Captain Contagious, that is the captain's name,
yeah,
a pirate who lives in a snow globe, notices Babette and is immediately smitten. After tricking Anne into freeing him, he kidnaps Babette and leaps out of the nursery window with his crew and decides to rescue Babette, and Andy volunteers to help her. Anne and Andy leave the playroom and enter the deep, deep woods, where they reaffirm their courage and love together while exploring. As the dolls travel, they meet the camel with the wrinkled knees, a blue stuffed animal who has been abandoned and hallucinates ghostly camels beckoning him to home. Anne promises that once they find Babette, he may return with them. With Anne and Andy in tow, the camel chases down the caravan and mindlessly rushes off a cliff. They find themselves in the taffy pit where the Greedy lives. The Greedy explains that he feels unsatisfied despite endlessly eating the various delicacies, as he lacks a sweetheart. He thus attempts to take the candy heart sewed into Anne, but the toys successfully escape his lair. The toys then encounter the knight Sir Leonard Looney, who welcomes them to Looneyland, the source of the world's practical jokes. Looney pursues the toys through Looneyland and into the court of the diminutive monarch King Cuckoo. Cuckoo laments his tiny stature and explains that he can only grow by laughing at the expense of others. He thus intends to keep the toys as his prisoners to keep him laughing. The dolls escape this fate by fighting with cream pies, then slipping away and fleeing Looneyland in a boat. The furious King Cuckoo follows them with an enormous sea monster, Gazooks. While sailing, Anne, Andy, and the camel notice Contagious's pirate ship, only to discover that Babette became the new captain to return to Paris while imprisoning Contagious in the galley with his parrot Queasy. When Anne tries to tell Babette that she must return to Marcella, Babette is enraged and has the trio tied to the mast. Meanwhile, Queasy successfully unlocks Contagious's shackles and returns above deck, freeing the other dolls and pledging his love for Babette. Before she can respond, King Cuckoo and Gazooks attack the ship and seize all but Anne, Babette, and Queasy to subject them to tickle torture. Making the monarch swell to mammoth proportions, Babette sees that her selfishness has endangered everyone and begs forgiveness, only for her and Anne to be captured and tickled. The dolls realize that King Cuckoo's inflated ego is full of hot air, and Andy tells Queasy to pop him, which creates a massive explosion that sends them spiraling. The following day, Marcella discovers the toys lying among the leaves in her backyard. She returns all but the camel to the nursery, where Babette apologizes for her actions and accepts Anne's offer of friendship and Contagious's affection. While the heroes are happy to be back, Anne notices the camel gazing at them from the window. The dolls welcome him to their family. The next day, Marcella finds the camel among the dolls and hugs him tightly, accepting him as her newest friend. Getting into the trivia for this. Dee Dee Khan, who played Raggedy Ann, had laryngitis when her vocals were recorded. The actress was disappointed that her voice wasn't what it could have been during the song Home, but director Richard Williams thought her hoarseness added to the emotion of the song. The Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy, Topsy-Turvy, and Sockworm dolls seen in the live-action portion of the film were made by Richard Williams' mother.
Okay.
The camel was not intended to have a southern accent. The accent was suggested by actor Fred Struthman during auditions, and once he had done the voice, the camel instantly became a country singer.
Makes sense.
Art Babbitt animated the camel in 3 different sections and treated it like 3 different characters: a dumb rear end, a slightly smarter front end, and the head. And that's all I got for trivia.
Gotcha.
So, Jacob, what is your first dislike for this film?
My first dislike of this film, it's too slow.
Yeah.
Let's put it in the context. Be like, you have this amazing opening with amazing cinematography and following this little girl up to her playroom, which I think is her playroom. Is it her playroom, or is
she
it
calls it the playroom? It's also called the nursery. It's her room.
Yeah, it's her room. But
either way, this child is spoiled rotten.
Yeah, of course. So you have this amazing establishing shot, and it takes, 20, 30 minutes to actually get out of the playroom?
Yeah.
It takes that long because they have so many freaking songs, and do not get me started on songs about this movie. But good night, this movie takes forever to ramp up because they're going to be like, this series already has a foundation, a fan foundation. So do you think for 3 minutes you have to spend 30 minutes to introduce your characters and get this plot moving it's an hour and a half film?
And I would like to point out it's this first half hour where there's actually plot.
Yeah, I agree. There is plot, but it takes forever to build. Yeah. Forever. You have the entire adventure is slow. It is dragged down by the music. And it's just...
It's paced at the same rate of it's kind of going for the Broadway musical feel in a way.
It is.
And I can see why a scene an establishing thing where you're meeting all these characters would take that long.
Uh-huh.
But I agree. It's there's 5, 6, maybe 7 songs in this room, not counting the twin dolls' entire dialogue, which is all done in sing-song.
Yes.
And they have weird dancing moves, and they're creepy as all get out.
Yeah, you're not kidding. But, oh my gosh, they pick up the momentum in this movie. Because I understand it's a little kid's movie. I get it. This is a movie not geared for, two guys in nearly 40.
Yeah. Not that should make a difference.
No, it shouldn't. But at the exact same time, you should be every scene just drags out because they got to sing everything. Again, it's like Drew said, it's trying to gear itself as a musical, but it just, this movie takes too long to get started, and it takes too long to get to the end. Because to me, it'd be in between having a seizure and watching the thing, it felt like I was watching a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, and it's only an hour and a half. I'm going to jump in on this because the length is also one of mine. This movie is incredibly,
yes,
despite some of the visuals in this film, remarkably is consistently, as PaulJPowers.com would say, slow and boring. And we're talking about, you've got scenes where Raggedy Ann and Andy are running from a giant taffy monster that continuously moves all the time. It'd be like if we were fighting an ocean monster made out of the ocean. That sort of that type of monster. You've got scenes like that. You've got scenes where they're in a loony chaos dimension for a short bit with crazy stuff happening. You've got when I say the last 45 minutes of this is pink elephants on parade on repeat, I'm not kidding. It's not exactly that because it is different thing after different thing after different thing. But with all of that, this movie is slow and boring to watch.
It is very boring.
I did not know how boring it was going to be. It is like they decided collectively as a cast, we are going to voice this like we don't want to wake up the children.
Yeah. Well, to kind of in that point, be it makes sense because it's a bunch of dolls. You don't want to be too noisy because you might.
This wasn't a problem with Toy Story.
Exactly.
Which is the same type of story, except it's no music, and it's a better story.
Yeah, it's a lot for a better story. But it's I do understand why the characters are kind of trying to be quiet, but at the same time, when you're out in the wide open world, be however they describe it, because they try to give some lore to what the outside world is, but it is just what?
I don't know if they really give lore to what's going on in the outside world, because once we get past...
They give it a name. I just don't remember what the name was.
Once we get past the camel with the wrinkled knees, it feels like I can't figure out how it fits in with what was going on before in relation to it.
True.
But I'll get more into that in a minute.
Yeah.
What's your second dislike?
You already gave yours.
I gave you my first because mine was also in the length.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So, the catalyst for this entire story,
Babette.
So,
the French doll who this little kid probably shouldn't have a hold of because she's going to ruin it. Because I'm fairly certain that's an expensive doll.
That's a very expensive doll, which came from France.
Which I like to point out at the end of this film is found in a mud hole.
Yeah. Or a puddle. It was found in a puddle. But like
I said, a mud hole.
Yeah. So you have Babette, who is this French doll, which our character's owner it receives as a gift. Which there again, be like that was kind of popular in the 70s. Mm-hmm. I kind of get it. But then you have the main catalyst of what drives the story forward is our dubious captain who's sitting in a bottle on a ship.
A snow globe.
A snow globe. Thank you. That's a better word. I just couldn't think of snow globe.
Yeah.
Snow globe. And he is literally lusting after Babette. And he'd be like, oh, she has to be mine. And be like, this entire thing could be like possession and the whole bit. And I was like, really? This is where the story's going? And then be like, Raggedy Ann and be like, oh, because the captain's trying to tell her something and be like, he needs to be freed and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And she's the one who sets off the catalyst that he's freed and he kidnaps Babette to make her his own, make her his bride. Now, I do like the reverse of where she becomes the captain. I enjoyed that part, but you have this entire catalyst. What drives the story forward is that this pirate captain kidnaps the new doll and wants to make her his bride. And it's the entire thing. It's Raggedy Ann's fault. She has to go out and try to find Babette. But it's just like, what in the world? It's like, whoa. And it's like, dude, slow your roll. And two, it's just like, what the frick? And like it's the weirdest catalyst, the jump off point to where our story goes, mm-hmm. and why our characters have to go into the unknown, and why they run into all these characters is because you have a lustful, prideful snow globe captain, pirate, a ship captain, what have you. I think he's a pirate, right?
He's a pirate captain.
Yeah, he's a pirate captain. And it's just like, this is the entire story, the entire catalyst of the story. And it's just like, what? Okay, it's interesting, but I'm like, oh, brother. Like, wow, dude, slow your roll. Slow down.
Calm down.
Exactly.
You win her heart by being... But not by kidnapping her, but I get it. It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. He is a pirate.
Yes, he is a pirate.
If he is in character, he's going to be, steal the treasure and all that stuff. And
exactly.
If he is seeing the character, the Babette as his treasure, I get that thing. Of course,
I do get it.
But at the same time, yeah, it's a little off-putting.
Yeah, it's very off-putting. It's I'm kind of mixed with it. It's this very irritating plot point that's the catalyst that drives our story forward. It's interesting, but at the same time, it's just like, wow. It's, again, I like his upcoming, but like the way how do you pronounce that? Upcomings? What he gets in the end.
Oh, his comeuppance.
I'll be like, how he gets the comeuppance, I thought was genius. I thought it was like, oh, okay, they made Babette the captain, and she threw him down in the lower decks. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I thought that was an interesting plot idea, or a result of what happened.
Yeah,
because I'll be like, oh, okay, that turns the story around a little bit. But just like the whole catalyst is like, oh, this doll's gonna be mine, and he tricks Raggedy Ann to letting him out. And again, it's animated beautifully. It's just like, what in the world?
Why is this your entire motivation?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
get that you're in love with her, But there may be a better way to go about that.
Exactly.
So
and to think about this,
you don't have to be what you're crafted to be.
Exactly. And plus, it's a kids movie. Again, 70s. Be like you get this. It'd be like kids understand pirates. Pirates, they want to steal everything. And even today, it's like pirates want to steal everything. But it's just like, dude, come on. It's like I was thrown aback and I was like, wait a minute, this is the catalyst of the story. This is how he's in love. He's lusting after her. That's what he's doing.
Well, he's a pirate captain. They're not exactly low on the. They don't exactly do low emotions.
Yeah, or be like high moral fiber. It's like, ooh, she's pretty. I'm gonna kidnap her. Arr.
Plus, this is meant to be all these characters are more meant to be archetypes.
Yeah, true.
Than actual full characters.
Oh, I agree. So
I get why the captain is the way he is.
Yeah, exactly.
I also get why you think maybe that's not the best example to show to kids, even if he is the villain.
Exactly.
Or kind of the villain. It's headache-inducing.
Yes, it is headache. Like, what? Who's the villain?
There is no plot to this film.
No, correction. There is
a plot. It's paper thin.
It is very paper thin. That'd be like the entire catalyst is the story. Is the entire plot to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Raggedy Ann and Andy have to go save Babette from the pirate captain who stole her.
Yeah.
And after he steals her, we don't see them until they catch back up to them near the end of the film.
End of this film.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even really get to see we don't even really get to know the captain at all.
No, we don't.
So we don't know if that's really him just playing the character he always is.
Right.
Or, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that bothers me as much.
Oh, okay.
That being said, there is no logic in this film.
Fair.
Is my second dislike.
Gotcha.
Now, granted, people are going to say, well, this is meant to be like a kooky, psychedelic wonder trip. It's supposed to be like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
To which then I would reply, Alice in Wonderland has a logic to it. Mm-hmm. It just may not be, it takes a little bit to understand what's going on. This has no logic to it. Yeah, at first you're thinking, okay, it's got Toy Story logic. The toys come to life when the humans aren't around. Mm-hmm. And this even goes farther in having the footage shift to live action when the little girl's around, and then shifting back to animation when it's just the toys. Mm-hmm. And that works while they're in the nursery just fine. No issues.
Yeah.
Even if those two little twin dolls are creepy as all get out. And I wish they'd go away.
Agreed.
And I would even go so far as the meeting with the camel with the wrinkled knees works, because when you meet him, it's very obvious, okay, they've left the nursery, they've found this guy running around. He's obviously an abandoned toy in the middle of this field that is going crazy because he's been left alone for who knows how long.
Right. Probably 5 minutes.
No, I'm going for a lot longer than that. I'm thinking this girl's forgotten this toy exists.
Probably.
And he's been out there for at least a year.
Yeah, because it'll be like he is discovered in the leaves. So
yeah, so I'm going with he's been out there a long time. So of course he's gone a little crazy. So that's even forgivable. But the very second we get to the greedy, I can't figure out what that's supposed to be representative of. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, the camel, you can kind of just accept that as, the abandoned toy in the woods.
Yes.
How does the greedy fit in? Is he a mud hole that's now made out of taffy because it was the taffy pit? And then we go to Looney Land, which makes even less sense. I can't figure out how that works in the context of the real world. At one point, the minute we hit the taffy pit, it's like we went into Wonderland and changed movies. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, if you're going to do that, you need a better portal than just falling through there. And then you get out to the ocean, where the pirate ship, that, need I remind you, was small enough to fit into a snow globe. And the captain was small enough to was in scale with the ship that was in the snow globe.
Yes.
And now they are the same size as everybody else. Mm-hmm. Because Babette's the captain, and Babette is a big doll.
Yeah.
She would have crushed the captain
Very
in the
easily.
nursery, but here they're all the same size.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there going, what? How? I can't just accept that.
Mm-hmm.
You set up a logic to this world and then completely abandoned it once we got to the taffy pit. Why? I'm supposed to be following this, and then it just ends. Like, why did it end? It was the next morning. Is that when Marcella happened to go out the door and she found him and brought them all inside, and whatever crazy kooky world they were in suddenly just disappeared? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the little girl still leaves the camel with the wrinkled knees out in the woods. It's like, your life sucks, dude.
Mm-hmm. You're a very unloved toy.
Yeah, I feel for you, buddy. But it's like, logically, it's like, I don't get how all that's supposed to work. And I can't tell what you're trying to tell me. Like, this is a movie for kids.
Yes.
Even movies that are for adults, they have a theme. They have not necessarily a moral to the story.
Right.
But they are trying to communicate to you, the viewer, a message. I can't tell what the message is here, folks.
Yeah.
Sure, there's been some things where the message was buy all our play sets and toys. That ain't this one.
No.
This is just accept help so you don't become the pirate queen? Huh? I don't know what's going on. The very end of this just goes crazy. And I could even accept it if they said, oh, this is the stories the little girl made up to explain what her toys were doing when she wasn't around.
Yeah.
I could have accepted that because I could see how this would be a child's imagination and the kind of logic that comes with that. That's not what it presents. There's no... Because anytime the girl shows up, all the toys become toys again. It's not showing what their playtime actually looks like.
Right.
So what is that we actually watched? What is all of that supposed to be? I don't know. It is missing logic.
Yeah, agreed. So here's my thoughts. Okay. So you have the point where Raggedy Ann and Andy fall out the window.
Yeah.
And they interact with everything down there. So how did everything get down there? Did our main girl throw everything out the door? Did someone come along and just throw her toys out? And here's another one.
If we take the assumption that the toys are coming to life, like in Toy Story, I can see how what we saw would have been what happened, even though that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Especially considering the pirate ship is able to crawl up the wall at a 90-degree angle and then go out because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, so here's another thing. So then you have, like, again, using Toon Logic. Toon Logic and these, like how Drew said it was more like these dolls and toys become alive once the child is out of the room, like Toy Story. So but then you have the problematic issue of where the camel, like, somehow magically, who has been left out into the wild for who knows how long, maybe a year, and that he sees his new friends in the window, and he finds himself on the ledge, and they let him in, and then when the girl's there, he's there. So, again, you have to use cartoon logic, and you got to spin reality just to be, it's like, okay, that happened.
Well, I mean, that works for... Anytime you're watching a movie, you have to suspend your disbelief somewhat.
Of course.
I could have easily suspended my disbelief that the toys were coming to life, and any of the times, and that's how they all got outside, where the girl found them out there, is because they had literally walked outside.
Yeah.
And jumped down the thing, and all this adventure was happening somewhere in the backyard. My question is, why is there no evidence of any of the things that all that's supposed to be? Because even the woods is the woods. The camel with the wrinkled knees is running around the woods that's in her backyard. Are you telling me that this real world location has a giant living taffy pits back there, plus the land of Looney, where a king who has to laugh in order to be big enough to actually be called His Highness. And then there's a giant ocean where that causes the toys to grow to the size of normal humans, and then all that's just going to magically be again in her backyard with no... I'm not asking for like full-blown... if it's... Like I said, I could accept if it was kids' imagination. Yes. I could have accepted it if they would have just said... this is something that only happens at night. It's this portal to this other world, and when the sun comes up, we'll all reappear back in the real world or something. This movie set up logic and lore, and then completely dropped it. That's my problem. It set up a logic, and then it decided to completely drop it so Richard Williams could go have fun and do whatever little animation thing he wanted.
Exactly.
Despite the fact I don't think that was Richard Williams' fault. It's just he was able to take advantage of it. I consider that more the problem of the writers of this. But yeah, it's just it drops all the logic the film had.
Fair.
So what's your third dislike?
My third dislike. All right, my third dislike. Sorry, I forgot we're at Bad Movie Month. My third dislike on this film is the third act. The third act, be like there again, like Drew said, be like you have this grand adventure and it just comes to a dead stop. It's like, oh, okay, it's creative, it's inventive, the imagination is just in full overdrive, and then all of a sudden be like, boop, we're back in reality. And no explanation, no nothing. It's like, oh, we're going home. Be like, because literally they had to figure a way to make.
They had to end the movie.
They had to end the movie.
And they didn't know how.
Pump the brakes. And like, I think it's like a film we recently reviewed. It's like the third act just comes to a complete, utter stop. Someone just slammed on the brakes. And you're hydroplaning to a stop. And perfectly, you get there in one piece or in pieces. So the third act, and it's like, what in the world? It's so jarring how they make this, how they try to cobble everything together to bring the story together at the end, and it's like, really, this is how we're ending? This is how we're ending our movie, and. Again, I understand why this movie did not do well in the small movie viewing it had. Like it's artistically gorgeous for the 1970s. Do not get me wrong, but story-wise, it is a utter mess.
Yeah.
And the third act is where they literally we have all these amazing ideas, and they're executing them. Does it make sense? No. It's a cartoon for kiddos. Doesn't need to make any sense, right? It needs to. Let's just, kids can think too.
Just because a movie is made for kids does not mean that it can be crap and they'll watch it.
Yeah.
If anything, for the children, we should be putting our best foot forward. At no time should... it's a kids movie be used as an excuse for crappy work.
Agreed.
I'm sorry. That's just my thought. Everything. I get that not everything's going to be good, but and I will say at least we have good animation in this.
Agreed.
But yeah, funny. One of the stories I read when I was doing my research on this was when Richard Williams got the script for this to take over after the other guy passed away. He had he had two complaints about the script. You know what they were? The story is unfocused, and there are too many songs.
Agreed. Agreed.
Do you know what the common complaint was with the critics? The two common complaints? Story is unfocused, and there are too many songs.
Exactly.
So, gee, I wonder why 20th Century Fox forced him to write the script as is. It's almost like people who make movies know the problems with them, and you don't have a good script.
We got to get it out there. Let's do it.
I will say this as my third dislike. Anytime we watch a movie that fails in some way, my question is always, what was the actual problem? Because a lot of times when you're watching it, the things that jump out of you as problems are not the core problem, but they're symptoms. They're just more obvious to see.
Right.
I'm always looking at, okay, logically, what could have happened, what happened, and what it comes down to is this. A, the script had too many songs and lacked focus. That's problem one.
Yes.
The problem two is the same is part of the same problem that Thief and the Cobbler had, which we previously reviewed on the Retro Rewind podcast.
Thanks, Roy.
Go check out that episode. And the problem is Richard Williams is too perfectionist about his animation. Now, granted,
Roger Rabbit anyway? Who Framed Roger Rabbit anyway?
When it works, it is
Gorgeous.
beautiful.
Exactly.
I'll be singing the movies, the praises of the animation of this movie here in just a couple minutes when we get to the likes. But the problem is, he didn't finish the movie.
No, he didn't.
He got kicked off at the end, and many of the songs were intentionally then animated in limited animation, backing the camera off so far that they didn't have to actually animate mouths moving while they're singing.
It looks terrible.
You can see it. And it's like, that's what happened. He got kicked off this thing because he was being too much of a perfectionist.
No.
Now, granted, I understand wanting to always do good work and wanting to do, but you've got to understand when it comes to doing work for other people, sometimes perfection is the enemy of done. And for them, they just want good enough. I'm not saying
They want
trash,
a finished product.
I'm not saying trash your principles. I'm saying do 90% of the work that you are comfortable with seeing on screen, and then when you have time, if you have time after that, continue to polish at that point. Because I guarantee you, the song I'm really thinking of is Paper. Is it Paper Hearts and Paper Flowers?
Yeah.
The one where Raggedy Ann and Andy are singing in the woods.
Yeah.
That
Or
one
leaves
is-
at the point.
That one is so far out. The camera is so zoomed out throughout most of that song. Here's a couple parts that are close in.
Yeah.
But it's so zoomed out that you can't see them actually singing.
Yes.
You can see them moving and walking through the forest, and the song is happening. And if that was a stylistic choice, I would accept it. But it's very obviously not. Because it's going to great lengths to obscure mouths so that they didn't have to animate mouth flaps.
Exactly.
So yeah, my biggest dislike, the biggest problem I see with this movie is it had a really bad script that Richard Williams did his best to animate to the best of his ability, but his perfectionist tendencies got in the way of him finishing the film. Those issues with production are my third dislike.
Gotcha.
So, likes. End this on a positive.
Okay, my first like of this film is the live action portions because they're shot incredibly well. Be like, again, the tracking shot of our human character,
Marcella,
our human character. Be like, we follow her through the house. She's unlocked the door, going up because they use incredible camera angles the entire time. Be like, again, you go from there into the animation. It's beautifully animated, like gorgeous. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
But all of the live action sequences are shot incredibly well. I don't remember who the director of live action was.
I'll look that up. You keep talking.
But just like direction and everything in this film, be like when it comes to the camera, like if it's live action or in animation, is done incredibly well for the most part. We're talking like, cinematography, direction. Like, it looks good. It's a good looking film. Now I can question like why did you do this and why did you do this, but we're talking direction, the camera angles and everything. Again, for the late 1970s, it is done very well. So that is my first is the camera direction in live action and for the most part during animation.
Okay, cinematographer on the live action portions of the film was Dick Mingalo.
Dick Mingalo.
But it does not list a different director for those portions. So.
Oh, okay.
I tried looking for a director of photography, which is usually what that is, but I can't see that on here.
Okay, so what is your first like?
The animation.
Okay.
Because the animation in this is when it's not obviously finished at the last minute.
That is true.
But 95% of the animation in this film is it's good. It's sink your teeth in it. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like, why is this not the standard sort of stuff? There's some stuff that's like, okay, yeah, that didn't work as well. But I mean, there's things in here that Disney doesn't even do.
No, oh my gosh,
with its animation. There's these little, and granted, this is all Xerox method. So there you can see, if you're looking in certain places, you can every once in a while see the scratch lines. But here's the thing: unlike the Disney Xerox method animation, where it's incredibly rough,
crunchy,
it's incredibly crunchy. The only reason I knew it was Xerox method before I saw the credit was because the animation, the models were too good for it to have been anything but Xerox method. And all that means is they used a copier to help create the animation cells and make the little changes they needed here and there for the inking. There's stuff in there the way they drew a lot of this stuff, the detail on every single frame.
Exactly.
Except for the stuff that's obviously finished at the last minute, is so there that you're amazed it can move that much without, breaking apart. Things that really stick out, the chase through the Wonderland dimension where,
my gosh.
Where they talk in sound effects.
Yeah.
Granted, we see a better version of that sequence in Thief and the Cobbler.
Yeah.
But here it's done very well. As much as I hate the greedy, the fact that the greedy never stops moving.
Fluid animation.
Oh my God. The entire time. Granted, it gets a little boring for him never to have a static shot ever.
That's true.
But I mean, the fact that it's able to keep moving and you never stop. There's never a point in there where they feel like they have to stay on model. It's I can't tell you how good this animation is. Even the stupid creepy dolls.
Yeah.
And here's the big thing that if you're not an animation nerd, you might not catch. They move like the dolls move like dolls move.
They do. Raggedy
Ann moves like a rag doll.
Exactly.
Raggedy Andy moves like a rag doll. The creepy dolls, as I keep calling them, I think they're technically the Twin Pennies is their name.
Yeah.
Those are, well, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but everything below the head looks like an animator's model for anatomy. But then they've got these Cupid doll heads.
Yeah.
But those move like you would expect them to move. All the little different dolls. The only one that really doesn't work for me actually is Babette. Because she looks like...
very stiff.
She's very stiff. And granted, that sort of French doll would be that way. I get that. But it almost looks like it's too detailed for what the doll actually is. Or it's not detailed enough. I can't tell because those French dolls are very incredibly detailed to begin with. And then trying to make that work in a 2D environment doesn't quite work.
Fair.
Like I said, the animation on this is spot on. I would highly suggest to anyone who geeks out about animation, go look up clips for this movie.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
I'm not saying watch the whole thing because I would suggest that on a lot of people because of how slow and boring the story is.
Yes.
But go look at clips and go and look at the amazing animation on YouTube of a lot of these scenes, and just have fun with it because this goes psychedelic, but it's done in such a way where I just have to go, wow, that's amazing. I wish this story had substance. I wish this didn't feel like we were moving at 2 miles an hour,
Agreed.
despite the fact the animation is moving at 75. So, yeah, animation, spot on. My first like. What's your second like?
Nice. So going into that, I think it's the artistic expression that goes into a lot of the backgrounds because even
There's
Disney,
a lot of good backgrounds in this.
so many good backgrounds. I mean, like you talk about where they go into the Creepers world, they go into the King Cuckoo's world, and you have all these amazing, like the one where they're going down the spiral staircase, and it's tracking everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Because one, you're dealing with two different levels. You're dealing with the character models, and then you're dealing with the background. And so you have to, every one of those has to be completely 100% on point tracked.
Yeah.
And so that takes time, that takes effort, that takes skill beyond belief to do that. And it's
bear in mind, folks, this is not, what did you say, 1978?
77.
77. Guess what wasn't on the scene at the time, folks? Computers. This is completely hand animated.
This is hand animation.
Completely.
Insane.
The only
amount of
mechanical
work.
addition to this was a Xerox printer.
Yeah.
Copier. That was it.
Yeah, because as far as we understand, like the earliest use of computers in animation was the late 80s for Disney.
We know. Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah, Great Mouse
is
Detective.
the first time Disney used any sort of animation.
Yeah, and there's
other examples within a 2D
incorporated.
film.
Yeah,
Tron may technically predate that, and it actually has 3D animation.
it does.
But you don't hear about a lot of. I mean, there was some 70s computer animation, but it was so experimental at best at the time.
Yeah, but it's like the amount of artistic expression, definitely in the backgrounds and the backgrounds, foregrounds, characters, is done so well. I mean, like the point where like the camel is hallucinating. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking trippy. Again, it's the 70s. But
it's the calmer part of the film.
It's the calmer part of the film. It's where like he's hallucinating about, following the camels, be like, oh, don't wait for me, and it's just like wow, this is done breathtakingly well, and like how much detail you have to go into. Again, like Drew said, be like this is pre-computer assisted animation.
Yeah,
like the stuff we're watching now, be like it's all computer generated.
Yeah,
Some
even
of it's
2D.
Even in 2D. Like, this is all hand-drawn, meticulously done.
It's still basically cell animation.
Yeah,
they just made the in-betweening a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier. So, be like, the props to the animators, the props to the director who did this, just like all these amazing scenes where you're using... like having to interact completely with the environment. Now, the part where I had problems with is when they are in the toy room or the playroom. Oh my gosh, it felt like the characters were on a flat plane and they just ran into the side of the cell.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that up my dislikes, but good night, that got so disoriented. Like, where the crap are we? I'm halfway expecting one of our characters to run into an object that's supposed to be there and just walk right through it. But... and I guess it's more they're using more of their budgets for the later animations, which I completely agree. It is amazing. It's just it's this conflict of, oh my gosh, beautiful artistic expression, which I enjoy as an artist, and then it's just this muddy look because they had to finish the movie up because they fired the director, and this and this and this.
Well,
it's just like you said,
if we're talking about their way of showing nighttime being putting everything in an ugly brown filter.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that may be an effect of the transfer.
That might be.
Not how the film actually looked at that time.
Yeah.
Because obviously they had to darken it, and they may have used a brown, and it just looks worse now than it did then. But once again, I don't know. Our transfer is good for the most part, but there's a couple of places where it's like, that didn't work.
Yeah, I read somewhere where it was like fans had made an HD remaster of it, which I mean, like, I think would be really cool because I think there's like a small fan base for Raggedy Ann.
It's the same fan base that made the recobbled cut for Thief and the Cobbler.
Oh, okay, that
brought back the original, closer to the original version of Thief and the Cobbler.
Okay. Yeah, because at one point we're
going to what you get on DVD now.
Yeah, because what I would love to do, and I think Drew would be in the same way if we can review the Thief and the Cobbler because we wouldn't have reviewed it on Retro.
We at some point we are going to have to do that on this show,
and then bring Roy on the show here to review it. Maybe
and that would almost be mean to make them come back and do that again.
Nah, it'd be fun.
We'll see.
Yeah, so it'd be like artistic expression, like animation. You have there are. In this movie where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stop looking at this. The amount of detail, just expert precision of using background, foreground, and characters and moving everything simultaneously is gorgeous. Mwah, chef's kiss. Amazing.
So...
Yes.
My third like for this film.
Yes.
Believe it or not, is the songs.
Okay. Please explain that.
Okay, first off, not the amount of songs.
Okay.
And miss a lot of those songs definitely could have been left out and it wouldn't have changed anything. Right. Or at least maybe if there was more story in between, it would have helped. Fair. But the actual writing of the songs, like I said, some of these have been stuck in my head like a little bit for the good portion of the week.
Fair.
But to bring up something from that Nostalgia Critic review I mentioned, he was talking about the music. He said, yeah, the songs are short. They're not that great. But when you compare them to bigger budget, bigger name Disney movies with songs, those, if you hum a few bars, I may not have any idea what song you're talking about unless it's one of the big ones. You hum a few bars of nearly any song from Raggedy Ann and Andy right now, I would actually know what song you're talking about. And part of that is because it's written, all these songs were written by Joe Resposo.
Yeah.
Who wrote a lot of the songs for Sesame Street back in the day.
Makes sense.
He is the writer of It's Not Easy Being Green.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he wrote the music for Great Muppet Caper. Okay. You follow where I'm coming from.
I gotcha.
This is one of the better musicians. Now, granted, this is not his best work.
Fair.
Because a lot of this feels like first draft. If we're being honest.
It does.
It needs the songs need a little bit of editing. But... a lot the songs like No Girl's Toy.
Yes.
I thought that was done very well.
Yeah, it's very catchy.
Yeah, the song that the camel with the wrinkly knees sings. That one's a good song. Even the stuff like Never Have Enough that the Greedy sings.
Yes.
Is like it's really more memorable because of what's going on while that's happening. But even that is like, it's got a catchiness to it. At least the music is good enough that it's catchy.
Yes.
It's not boring and just dull.
Agreed.
It's what actually makes all these songs bearable is the fact that they're well written. Granted, there's too many of them.
Agreed. Yes, there are.
At least a half of them need to be cut. And more work being put into the story itself. But I can't say, yeah, the music is bad, because the music is like 3/4 okay, if that makes sense.
That does make it.
So it's like I said, it's not Joe Rasposo's best work, but it's up there.
Gotcha.
It is definitely, you can definitely tell it's his. It's like when you hear a bad John Williams score.
Yeah.
You know they exist.
Yeah.
Every artist has the stuff they wish people didn't hear.
Yeah, agreed.
Or didn't see. But this stuff is still good, even though it's not his best work. So, yeah, the music is my third like.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so my third like, again, I kind of, when he started talking about art, I was like, okay, I've got to shift this because it just fits perfectly. Mm-hmm. So my third like, which originally was my second like, was kind of this overall theme of all the characters that Raggedy Ann and Andy encounter. What is their main theme? What is this? And what I kind of discern from what they're talking about or what's going on is like finding temporary satisfaction in anything, because you couldn't find, because you had the the camel, because he can't find his friends.
Yeah.
So he has to find some kind of, satisfaction in something. You have the greedy who's can't, because he's trying to find love, so he just keeps consuming himself with like candies and foods or whatever. Am I getting that wrong?
No, you got it right. I was just gonna say, yeah, he never can get, nothing he is trying to get actually fills him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a religious message there.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm getting at. And then you have the king. You have the king. If I'm missing one, please point it out to me. You have the king, who is he's not satisfied because he's not big, and he has a complex over his height.
Yeah,
and so he's always belittling his subjects, and he wants someone to make him happy. He wants all the satisfaction for himself, and that's why he wants Raggedy Ann and Andy to be there to make him laugh, to make him feel better about himself. And you'll be like, again, you can use that as a Christian allegory of how, like, where do we find our satisfaction?
Yeah.
Where do we find our joy? Where, like, do we go out and find it in the world where it's going to be this fleeting moment where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like I read a post from a young man that I've known for years, and I'm not going to use his name on the show, but he said, "Be like, when I was a child, to be like, I thought I knew everything, and now as an adult, my eyes are open, and be like, I'm no longer a puppet on a string." To paraphrase his quote,
"There are no strings on me."
But at the same time, it's more like you are a puppet. You are very much a puppet, because you are now being pulled by the world. Because the world is like pulling you with all these satisfaction things, because you're never going to be satisfied.
Just because you can't see the strings doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of reminds me of an episode of Inuyasha for some reason. But
sit, boy.
Yeah. Bam! Ow! My head. We're going to have to review that series at some point, because it's just funny. Anyways, so be like. I'd be like, for me as a follower of Christ, even though I'm not perfect in any fashion or form when it comes to my faith, I have struggled with it. I struggle with this and this and this. But when it comes to like satisfaction, I find as I get older and that sanctification process in Christ is that you find that contentment in Christ, and even though sometimes you botch it beyond belief. You still find that satisfaction. You still, it's like, okay, be like Christ is enough. Even though sometimes you really want to crawl back and it's like that, but that was so much fun. But it's not going to last, and you're going to get hurt by it. Yeah. It's like wanting to be, it's like the idea of like being an artist. You want to be popular. You want people to like you. Oh, yeah. But it's like the instant.
It's nice to see the numbers go up.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to watch the numbers. Like a podcaster, it's amazing to watch numbers go up. But be like, you cannot find satisfaction in that. Because if your next high is like, be like, I've got to get this many likes. I've got to get this many, like, comments or whatever. Like, someone's got to retweet this or this or this, because I'm gonna find my satisfaction. I guarantee there are a ton of social media influencers is like their next high is I've got to get this. I've got to get this. Oh, I've got to look the best. I've got to do this and this and this. But where is your satisfaction? Because you know the world's going to let you down. Be like, you make one single solitary mistake and the world's going to turn on you in 3 seconds. So my question would be, where do you find your satisfaction? Do you find your satisfaction in the solid rock of Christ, who is not going to leave you nor forsake you? Be like, in your time of need, he's not going to leave you, even though sometimes you feel like you're alone. You're not. Or are you gonna trust in the sands of the world that is literally going to scoop everything out underneath you? When it be like you could be on the top of Olympus, at the top of everything. Like you could use the example of Sean T, but like we can use current events or what have you. But where do you find your satisfaction? Do you find your satisfaction what our quote unquote villains are? Or do you find your foundation? Do you find your satisfaction in something higher? That in Jesus Christ. So I found that is a good parallel to the Christian faith and what the world thinks. So yeah, that is my third. Originally second like.
So yeah, we need to rate this film.
I'm curious what your rating is.
Well,
He ain't half bad. Ain't half good either.
5.
5. Okay.
It's there. I agree. The good things about it are balanced out by the bad things about it. So it's kind of a null in terms of how I actually feel about the film in general. It's not like bad enough I would say never watch this, even though I don't suggest it. There's stuff about this that's absolutely amazing, and I do suggest going and checking out clips of a lot of the sequences in this. But I wouldn't want you to watch the whole film. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 5.5. Get a little bit because I think artistically I enjoy the what they did with it, even though it was limited and some of it was very cringy. Like it's like again, go find clips of this thing and watch it because it is just artistically amazing. And like the theme of satisfaction, I found that very interesting with our quote unquote villains. I found that interesting. I found that
I don't know if that was an intentional theme.
I don't think it was, but like all of our main,
I do get what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I enjoyed this for what it was. Again, be like, it is kind of a train wreck of a film. But there are parts of it I really enjoyed. And so, yeah, 5.5. It'd be like if you want to go watch it for the artistic expression of how beautiful this film looks and for probably 90% of it, be like, I would recommend going watching it. But if you're going to find some artistic satisfaction in it, or it's like, oh my gosh, you got to watch because these guys are like, it's like, oh, it's a 5 means it's like, no, 5 doesn't mean it's good. It's in the middle. It's a meh kind of film. You want to find a film that was bad? Leo the Lion, or some are the films that we reviewed earlier in this month.
The trilogy of animated Titanic films.
Yeah. Go listen to those reviews. Go find those where you're going to find them. Be like, you'll see train wreck beyond train wreck. Yeah. But this is a meh film.
This is a meh film, yeah. This has been more like meh movie month for the most part.
That is true.
And I'm afraid that may continue to a degree next week.
With our next film.
With A Troll in Central Park.
Done by?
Don Bluth film.
Don Bluth.
And that's the thing. Don Bluth, we know, is either going to be good or it's going to be Thumbelina.
Yeah.
It's either going to be good or bad.
Yeah, it's going to be good or bad.
But joining us next week is going to be Ashley Ruiz.
Yay!
So join us for that. And for those of you who keep up with the live stream, we'll be starting at 7 Central Time next week. So, in the meantime, we're going to do some go into our intermission, pay some bills, and then we're going to be talking some Spy Family.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Every other week, you can join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today and what it definitely isn't. Expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco, Paul, and a rotating cadre of guest hosts, all of whom are out of time.
Hi, Roy.
The Cellcast would also like to thank the following non-Patreon patron, that being That's Our Bobo. Wait. It was Bobo. Sorry.
Bobo. Yeah.
Brain fart. My apologies. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, PaulJPowers.com, Edwin Gonzalez, and the Monster Island Film Vault. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, brain fart. And for an additional additional $5 on top of those $5, you can force us to review a movie within reason. Yes, we already have 2024 finished out, but 2025 is still available. We don't know how many we're doing. We'll see how many people actually take us up on it. You can donate to all that to us on Patreon. Plus, if you would like a t-shirt, a hat, or any other sort of random thing that these print-on-demand shops will make for you with certain art designs that we make, you can go look at our Redbubble store and find something that you might enjoy, including something maybe coming out by Halloween. Yes. Keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know when that is released.
James Bond Jr. Impossible. Call me big man if you want a rich man. When you want to face me, it's okay. The man called Flintstone.
What an agent, what a squirrel. He's got the country in a whirl. What's his name? Shh, secret squirrel.
And Morocco Mole.
Johnny Quest.
Anybody want a peanut?
Reminds me, I've actually got to change that for next week.
Yes.
Because we have a new opening.
We do.
All right. Spy Family, Mission 25. First Contact.
Are we sure this is not a Star Trek film?
Yes. Yes, I am. Sure. This episode first aired December 24th, 2022. It was directed by Teruyuki Amini and written by Daishiro Tanimura, and it adapts chapters 37 and 38 of the manga. In this episode, with his clever plan, Twilight manages to meet Desmond briefly.
Which is genius.
This is still a part of the Imperial Scholars Mixers arc. And I looked it up. It continues a little bit into season 2. This episode is the debut of Donovan Desmond.
Yes.
As an actual character,
yes.
And not just someone we keep referring to.
Yeah, he's been seen.
But this is the first time he's a character.
Yeah, he's a character he's actually interacted with.
Yes. And he was played by John Bergmeyer in the English dub.
Got it.
Getting into the trivia for this episode, in the anime, the Imperial Scholars Mixer is actually called the Eden College Social Gathering.
Got it.
From about the 1 minute 55 seconds to 2-minute, 10-second mark. Most of the portraits of Imperial Scholar graduates shown were directly taken from chapter 64 of the manga. Give you an idea as to how far in advance the manga is. That's about 30 chapters. At about 3 minutes, 42 seconds into the episode, the darkened silhouette of Melinda Desmond, Donovan's wife and Damien's mother, can be seen in the background to Donovan's left. In the manga, she was not shown at all in this chapter and debuted much later. And in this episode, Sylvia is shown to still be wearing the rings Nightfall and Twilight gave her in episode 23. In the manga, she had stopped wearing them right before this. So, as we finish season 1, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Okay, so the mission itself is going to overdrive because it's be like Twilight. I forget his name, real fast.
Lloyd.
Lloyd is like, be like, he knows this is happening. He's dressed himself as an old man to where he can somewhat fit in. And
I'm guessing he's supposed to be a janitor.
Yeah, he's a janitor. It's Lloyd. Be like, it's Twilight. The guy is going to find some way to get in. He's a super spy. He's going to do that. But it's more like he thinks about everything. I find his train of thought, his methodology incredible. It's like, if you do this, this will happen. This is the cause and effects for everything is impressive. How he thinks about things. And then at the exact same time, you have Anya, who is like, be like, it needs to be this. And her silliness about everything, her silliness and her seriousness at the exact same time is like, girl, you're creeping him out. But at the same time, he kind of likes her. And they're like 6 and 4. So it's just like, don't know what to do with this, which is absolutely hysterical. And then you have her best friend, who I can't remember her name.
Becky.
I'm thinking she's kind of like some double agent super spy or something. I don't know, but you never know. You never know. The other side might be, be like, I don't know. It's this kind of hijinks super spy things. Like the dog could be a spy. I don't know.
No, the dog's an oracle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the dog's an oracle.
Because he can see the future.
Or he sees steak. It's like dumb food. But
jealous.
Yes, very jealous. Oh my gosh. My gosh. Do not cross paws with Bond, because jealousy is his middle name and he will get revenge. Definitely if you're a plush.
Guess it, go ask Anya's giant penguin.
Yes. My gosh, that poor penguin. But it's like she's trying to do her best to get in good graces with Damien. I was close. Damien. Try to get good graces with him, and it's just absolutely hysterical. And then you get this great interaction where Damien, and then I want to call him Roy, but it's not his name. Wow, Jacob.
Lloyd.
Thank you. Wow, I am terrible with names, people. This is absolutely horrendous.
This doesn't help you that every character in this has like 3 names.
Yeah, exactly. So, Lloyd is like, I'd be like...
Lloyd, Twilight. I'm surprised we don't have an agent number for him.
Yeah.
Not to mention all of his pseudonyms.
Yeah, exactly. So it's anyways, Lloyd finds a way to actually interact with Damien's father, which is that's ingenious. So, his way of trying to not persuade, but more of to engage with him, to have a conversation and gauge what he thinks, and this tactical mental chess game he's playing with Damien's father, which is genius. And it's he's thinking about, how do I do this? And I need to hear him on this level to where he might say something that I can springboard off, and that I can build this conversation further to where I can get his good graces, which is genius. If you know how to talk with people, and you know how to, you could butter people up and they give you information you need, is infallible when you're talking with people. And it's just this masterwork of just crafting and just pulling little bits of information. It's so how do I use this, and how do I use this, and how do I use Damien as a springboard to get more into the father's graces, where I can have more interaction with him, where I can figure out this grand mystery, what's going on. So I just found that incredible where and then it's more the springboard off to where Damien finds the courage to actually talk with his dad, because then you had the interaction he had before with Anya and Anya's father, or quote unquote father. Be like how Anya just loves to tell her father like everything, even though she's doing poorly. Be like, she's still going to tell him this. And so he finds the encouragement in that to tell his father something. And it's like, he's not that interested, but you find that he does care for his son, but he doesn't want to show it.
Yeah.
Now I might be reading into it, but
honestly, up until this point, all we've really known about Donovan Desmond is that he's Twilight's mark. He's very elusive. He's part of the party that's trying to bring the war back between the East and West. That's why they're trying to get in on him, trying to keep that from happening, or at least they suspect that's the case.
Yes.
This was like the first time it really felt like. First off, we actually got characterization for him.
Yes.
They did not present him in this part as an evil man. Yes. They presented him as a father and husband, or father at least, who wants the best for his kids.
Yes.
Who pushes them to be proud of their background and their upbringing and who they are as Desmonds, for good or for ill. That's what he does. And he literally is worried about his kids, even though he's, an incredibly busy man, has got all this stuff with the government that he has to deal with that is obviously going to cause more issues. Unlike every other villain Lloyd has had to go up against this season, because everyone else is like, you have Keith, who just wanted to bring back the war because he was an idealistic young man, is going to use bomb dogs, which that's just bad enough as it is. Or one or two of the other ones where it's like you have this, or even the brother, Yor.
Yeah, Yor.
No, Yuri. Yor is Yor's
right.
wife.
Yuri
Breyer.
Yeah.
Even he is so very set on what he wants. It really does feel like, for a main character that we still know very little about, because that's the mystery that we've got to hold off on so the series can keep going. I really got the feeling early on, boom, this is a guy who's just doing this. He is literally the opposite of Twilight.
Yes.
Because he's got a family, he's trying to keep them together, and he's publicly doing a lot of things that probably should, I say publicly, it's known that group is important and that they're doing different things, and they're trying to find out what it is, which is the whole reason for Operation Strix to begin with. And while you can definitely tell there's parts where it's like, okay, he's being suspicious about some things, he's trying not to say some things, and he's still being a little bit too snobbish for my liking as a person. Honestly, at the moment, I have no idea. Just from the story that is presented to us, mind you.
Yeah.
I have no idea if he's a good guy or a bad guy.
Okay. So we're talking about
Donovan.
Donovan. Okay, that's what I thought.
The closest thing to a villain we have for this, or at least
so far,
our target that we're trying to get close to. Because I do appreciate that that's the case. Now, I will say, when I originally watched this episode on my phone on Christmas Eve at my parents' house, before I went out and joined the family, I did not know. I knew it was the season finale. I had no idea Donovan was showing up. So I'm watching this episode going, they're doing this early? I didn't think this would do this until we were getting close to like the very end, because they're doing what I thought we were aiming for, her to have 7 Stella stars by, and she's got 1. Which, honestly, even having the 1 is a little quick, if we're being honest, for a child who's got to go through 13 years of school. I assume it's going to take more than 1 year for her to get even half of the Stella stars she needs to be an Imperial Scholar.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain, but all the other quote-unquote Imperial Scholars that we saw mostly in this episode, they all appeared to be at least 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
None of the younger ones were there.
Yeah. So apparently it takes time and effort to get all these stars.
This being a Shonen Jump series means this show might go far longer than the Cellcast is going to go.
Maybe.
So we may... Who knows? We know there's a 3rd season in development, but it's not been announced when it's coming out. So who knows? This might be like My Hero Academia, where there's 7 or 8 seasons. So, but yeah, I was kind of surprised we hit it like this early in the overall story, and it's like, okay, this is cool. We finally actually got to see him and actually get a feel for who this guy is. And while it is still very ambiguous who this guy is,
exactly.
It seems like it's a lot more he seems a lot more relatable than I assumed he was going to be. I assumed he was going to be the big villain that we, couldn't wait to see get punished.
Yeah.
And right now he looks 3-dimensional. So
yeah, because kind of going on that, be like how Desmond's design. Be like he comes across to be like this very gaunt character who looks very serious, and that's
he looks like an owl.
Yeah, he does look like an owl.
And that owl look is why the operation to get close to him is called Operation Strix.
I didn't know that.
Because Strix is a owl.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
I looked it up because I was curious, what on earth is a Strix that we're calling this operation on, but naming this operation off of?
Yeah.
But
wow, it's just like, okay, his design is very impressive because it has, be like, you have all these like very angular, be like his eyes, he has these very wide open eyes, like an owl. But overall, be like very impressive design. Be like, it makes you be like, okay, this guy is the villain. But once you start to kind of like the wings are open a little bit, and so okay, he's actually a person. He's not this like cold-hearted person, business guy.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, the Strix is in the mythology of classical antiquity, was a bird of ill omen, the product of metamorphosis that fed on human flesh and blood. Ooh. It is also referred to witches and related malevolent folkloric beings.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And is most likely, most of the time, drawn as owls. And since he's got a very owlish features,
he does have very owlish features. Even to the nose, he looks like an owl. So it's understandable why they would call it Operation Strix. And it's just like, okay, that like all the underpinning, all the layering, and this is done very well. And it's just like, wow, okay. So we now have a understanding of the who this guy is and like what's he doing. And it's just like, okay, like again, it's this cat and mouse between him and Lloyd. It's okay, like what's going to happen, like how Lloyd is going to move in this chess game. And I found it very interesting.
Yeah,
because they're like, then you get Damien, his relationship with his father, and he wants to have a better relationship with him. But he's the little kid who be like, oh, it doesn't mean anything, but it means everything to him. Would like I have family members who say that all the time. Oh, it doesn't matter. Be like, it does matter.
Yeah,
like, it matters to you. It matters a lot to you when you say that, because it's very key. Like, be like, this person in question says this all the time. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, it does matter. What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? What do you done? And it's very hard to get people like that to say something. But yeah, so I thoroughly enjoy this episode. We're getting into season 2, and where is the story going?
So
he knows because he's read a little further in. But
well, I have seen all but the last 3 episodes of season 2 of the anime.
Gotcha.
I'll see them apparently very soon. But there are 12 episodes of Spy Family until we get caught up, which is only 6 episodes of this podcast. We will finish right before the end of Miyazaki month.
Oh, okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet voted for your pick for our next animated series review, go check out Cellcast Facebook page. It's on the Cell Nation Facebook group. That's where I put the poll. Or you can find links to it on the Cell Chat, on our Facebook Messenger group, or in our Discord. Go check those out. You can find the links to that poll there. And go vote for either Batman the Animated Series, Gravity Falls, Star Trek the Animated Series, or DuckTales 2017. I was waiting for you to woohoo, but you didn't woohoo.
I was a little focused, but woohoo. Yeah, so
go vote for one of those, please.
So right now the vote is right now on the Cell Nation.
Yeah,
is Batman the Animated Series is very far ahead.
Yeah,
you have DuckTales 2017. Woo.
Yes.
Is
and
behind them.
Star Trek the Animated Series and Gravity Falls are tied.
Are dead heat right now.
Yeah. So, and I will say, it doesn't mean we're not, if whatever one wins, it doesn't mean we're not reviewing the others.
Right.
This is setting up our order for the next four. So these four we're going to do. Yeah. And for those of you curious who know Gravity Falls was on our last poll, it got traded out for Spy Family.
Yeah.
Because of the timing issues. That's just why it went on again.
Yes.
And plus, nobody voted for Gravity Falls last time.
Yeah. Which Gravity Falls is good. I've already watched the series.
That was one of the ones that we wanted to do the reviews for, to review that one specifically. So
and plus kind of a point where Drew was like, you have to watch Gravity Falls. You have to watch it. So I did watch it, and it's very good.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite shows when it was airing.
And they're going to be like, we're not trying to sway your vote in any fashion or form. If you vote your conscience...
I've already voted. Now, technically, I voted for all four. So I changed nothing.
Ah, gotcha.
But,
so yeah, be like, personally, like, I'd be like, I have the only
I want to review all four things. That's the thing.
Yeah, personally, be like, I've watched a completion, all, three of them. I've never watched anything of Star Trek the Animated Series.
I just finished it, my first watching of it this week.
Fun.
It's gonna be interesting.
So yeah, be like, so go find the poll, and vote for what you would love for us to review after Spy Family. A treble.
I think you're hearing more of the rumble of the vibrator in it than the actual treble sound effect.
Anyways, so yeah, go vote wherever you find it. Go vote and let us know, because I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah,
be like, way the poll's going right now. It's like, okay, that's be cool, because then I get to draw.
Batman. There is a song. This is not from that show. It's from a different show. Not. There is a song the good folks sing.
But yeah, just
go look up a clip from Batman Beyond for Batman the Musical.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so freaking good. But yeah, go vote. Let us know. Be like, hey, I voted. And what you voted for or whatever. Yeah. Let us know, because we want to get interaction.
We will announce the winner.
Yeah,
on the last episode, just as soon as we get done reviewing the last episode of Spy Family.
Okay.
So you have until... Hang on. Screen went off on me. You have until... according to this, November 1st.
Okay. So you've got an entire month to vote.
Yeah. Month and a half. Yeah, 6 weeks, folks.
6 weeks.
I know it's exactly 6 weeks. So go vote for one of those, please.
Yeah.
In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And I should already be back on my thing to hit the button.
Yeah. Hit the button.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography. His letterboxd page at ggeorge759. His Twitter at ggeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Anya gets a new doll. So Anya walks up to Yor. It's like, hey, mommy, look at my new doll. It's a Raggedy doll. And then you have Bond who goes, borf.
Jealous.
The next scene rolls up, and then it's the Raggedy Ann doll in the corner. It's like, hi, my friend. And it's like, boof. Jealous. Hope.
I was just thinking, Babette reminds me of those creepy dolls like Annabelle was based off of.
Exactly. That's what the kind of doll is.
So really, I kept thinking the music should be. That's not really from a horror, that's from Kill Bill, but whatever.